Hello there, everyone, and thank you so much for watching with us today. I'm Sam, and I moderate these weekly presentations. And in just a second, we're going to be joined by Patrick Ray, one of our senior financial advisors. Patrick is going to be covering a few different topics related to the recent return to office mandates and how that may affect you and your retirement plans. So stick around for that. I apologize in advance. We will not have time today to answer questions after this presentation has ended, but I'd encourage you to still ask away in the Q&A box. It's completely anonymous, and we'll make sure one of our financial advisors can reach out to you after the presentation has ended to answer your questions with you over the phone or through email. I should also remind you that we are not affiliated nor endorsed whatsoever by any specific company. We are a completely independent group of financial advisors here, so please keep that in mind as you're listening along today. And lastly, as Patrick is speaking, you are going to see me enter some links into the webinar. They're going to pop up on your screen. You can click on those and they'll guide you to various resources we have available, one of which will simply be a link to our appointment calendar where you can book an appointment with one of our financial advisors to speak to them directly. Another will be a link to our YouTube. Please follow us on YouTube. We post tons of retirement related content weekly, and we really think you'd get some value out of following us there. There'll also be a couple other resources you'll see. Feel free to click on those and take advantage if you wish. And without further ado, we're going to jump right into it now with Patrick Ray.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Patrick Ray. I'm one of the senior financial advisors here with the Retirement Group and the Wealth Enhancement Group. And today we're going to talk about the return to office mentality, and specifically RTO for short, and what that means to companies who are requiring their individuals and their employees to come back to the work environment. So we're going to discuss some of the advantages and disadvantages of what that means. And then we're also going to talk about how that could impact your overall retirement plans. And then we're going to have some key aspects to discuss before we wrap it up for the afternoon. So for those of you who don't know, return to office, or RTO for short, refers to the companies that are initiating and mandating that they're bringing the employees back to a physical work environment after being off or gone and working remotely for a period of time. So these plans can widely vary depending on the policies themselves that the companies have, the workforce needs of the company, and the industry trends, and also what the competitors that they have are doing. And so on the landscape of the RTO world, we knew that as of 2024, 18% of the Fortune 500 companies are requiring full-time in-office attendance for their employees. 56% of the professionals that we know are aware of colleagues that have resigned or plan to resign if they're mandated to come back to the return to office full-time thought process. Approximately 14% of employed adults in the U.S., which equate to roughly 22 million people, they work entirely from home. And 31% of the companies who require full-time office attendance for corporate employees have tough times with their organizational policies and employee retention because of the strict RTO mandates that lead to dissatisfaction, and basically which means to employee turnover. Now, companies who are transitioning to the return to office mentality are companies such as JP Morgan, who in January of 2025 announced that their employees who are currently on a hybrid work schedule are going to be required to return to the office full-time starting in March. Amazon announced back in 2024 last year that they were going to mandate a 3-day in-office requirement of their employees, and plans to increase that to a full 5-day work week by sometime in 2025. Walmart has a return to office policy that has a mandate for most remote workers to relocate to their corporate office in Bentonville, Arkansas. And the mandate began in August of 2024, and it will continue through the early part of 2025. And the catch to this is that employees who are unable to relocate may be forced to leave the company. Walmart is not the only one that's doing this. And so there's a lot to think about when the return to office thought process may or may not apply to you and your family and how you may engage and, more importantly, find the advantages. So, for example, under the advantages, you've got the enhanced collaboration of additional coworkers that are working on and in addition to the same project or the goals that you're working with as a team. So this creates a lot of beneficial teamwork, of course. It gives a stronger corporate culture, company culture, right? It gives some improved work-life boundaries, if you will. You're leaving the house to go back to work like it was prior to COVID, and then you're able to clock out and then go home. So you've got this very black and white line that you're crossing each and every time you're going to and from work. You've got access to resources that you otherwise wouldn't have if you were working at home by being in the office, of course. And then you've got some career visibility and the ability to grow as an individual, of course. Now, there's some disadvantages, and one of them, namely, is the cost that's involved. You've got some commuting that you weren't otherwise doing for the most previous few years. You've got parking, meals. Work attire could be a significant expense for you if you're required to have business casual or have some kind of dress code at work. And then you've got other concerns from a health and a safety perspective, like crowded work environments, and that could pose a health risk, especially during the flu seasons and otherwise oriented pandemics that we might end up having. So you've got some loss of flexibility, of course, with the struggle to balance the personal life with your responsibilities of childcare and potentially dealing with elder care or older parents. And there's some productivity challenges from the company's perspective that also apply to some of these disadvantages. Now, strict RTO policies might actually lead to dissatisfaction or attrition, basically losing and having the turnover process because you could go work for a competitor or a different company that would completely allow you to work and enjoy your home space while getting your job done. So the three ways that the return to office could potentially damage your retirement is crucial. And so we're going to talk about those. So we've got poorly managed thought processes with respect to return to office, and that leading potentially to the damaging plans that it could make on your financial needs and your financial requirements and your emotional needs, as well as lifestyles, all to be specific. And so you've got increased financial strain, potential career and benefit disruptions, and health and stress impacts that are all dealing with the potential of the return to office process. And so under the increased financial stress, commuting is going to cost you more, right? You got parking, you got work attire that you otherwise didn't have. Maybe your clothes don't fit. Now you got to go get a whole entirely new wardrobe. And then you've got in-office meals in addition to that you were otherwise accounting for at home that could save you money. And so reducing the amount that you could save potentially for retirement. And so because of those reduced contributions, they may had additional expenses that could force you to scale back not just what you're putting in your 401k or your overall IRAs, but it also could delay the timing of when you planned on otherwise retiring overall. So you've got the refusing, or for the individuals who are refusing the RTO mandates, it could lead to a job loss, and it could lead to a transition if you weren't otherwise willing and able to move your family to another location, as an example, to accept a lower paying job to keep your credentials at work going. And so that may affect pension accruals. It may affect your retirement contributions. It may affect your healthcare benefits. It may affect a lot of things. And so relocation costs are a separate thing. And of course, if moving to the office is required, it's going to add additional expenses to your overall family household. And so it could disrupt financial plans and eat into savings that way as well. Excuse me. You've got the increased stress of the demands of commuting back and forth to work and dealing with your everyday coworkers again. And it could lead to potentially unexpected medical expenses that you otherwise didn't have in the budget. We've got health issues to potentially consider and the financial strains caused by a return to office, which all could force you to postpone or delay your retirement, as I just mentioned. So the key aspects of the return to office discussion include hybrid work models, where companies are considering and adopting flexible arrangements so that they can combine a few days in the office as well as a remote environment so they get the best of both worlds. On the employee sentiment side, you've got some workers who prefer to work remotely from home for the flexibility and work-life balance, while you have other employees or other individuals who would prefer to be in person, working with their coworkers and being in a team environment and building camaraderie under the corporate structure. So you've got the corporate culture and productivity, where companies are arguing that office environments foster the innovation and the teamwork and the stronger corporate culture and the benefits of all of these things and then some, to require you to follow the return to office mentality. And then, of course, you have return or retention recruitment issues with policies that could influence the talent, and you're going to have turnover as a company, and you're going to lose good people because they prioritize and would prefer to simply work remotely. So what do you do if this applies to you or if you're concerned about it? Well, the number one recommendation is to have a plan. And we know statistically that 74% of people over the age of 50 do not have a written financial plan. And frankly, there's no real need for that, and there's no use for that, or there's no need for that, because we as a firm are one of many who do this for free. We do this as a complimentary way to introduce our services to you. And so if you're considering working with a partner in retirement, the Retirement Group has a ton of experience with advisors on staff that have knowledge and in history working with Fortune 100 companies, employees, to help them transition into retirement, which is one of the most stressful things that you'll ever have to go through from a financial perspective. We have offices all across the country, and we have an intimate knowledge of these companies' savings plans and pension plans and medical plans to see how that all fits together for what's best for you and your overall family and your planning needs. So we offer a complimentary cash flow analysis that I mentioned, and we introduced our services to use to see if it's a fit. So if this sounds like something that's important to you or something you want to inquire about further, you would email us at info@theretirementgroup.com. You could call our 800 number, which is 800-900-5867. You can take a picture of this QR code to the left, and it will get you access to a calendar where you can pick a time and date that works best for you and your family. And if you're not already following us on LinkedIn, I encourage you to do that, because if you take a picture of this QR code to the right, you might find a company landing page where we have set up to give you direct and correlated information to your company that you may work for. So I would encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn if you're not already doing so. And so with that, we talked a lot about the return to office mentality, what's involved, some of the advantages and disadvantages. And the takeaway is to have a plan so that you're prepared, whether it be retirement, whether it be a forced retirement, or a health concern that you ran into that might have changed your direction and timing of retirement. All of these things are crucial. So I will leave you with the afternoon. Thank you very much for spending some time with us. I hope you got some value out of hearing what we had to say. And until next time, we'll see you. Take care.